Well, welcome everybody to Calgary. We're here to talk about autism. We're here to talk about autism as a community of parents. How many parents do we have? Good, good, that's where it all starts. How many educators? Such as teachers, good. I see some people doing double duty, paraprofessionals. All right, good. What do we have for principals? A brave soul over here. Good, we need more of you coming. Good. Other school administrators. Therapists. Oh, there's a whole pile of them over here. They're clustered. Therapists seem to cluster. Social workers. Good. Other family members, such as brothers or sisters, grandparents. All right, that's great. Any medical doctors? I think we have a little problem here. Because what I so often see are the therapists and the educational people, we're pretty good about talking to each other, aren't we? But the medical people, they're doing their own stuff with biomedical interventions. All important stuff, good things that need to be done. But they need to come here too. And when I speak at medically based conferences, it kind of flips the other way around. And there's very few parents, teachers. So what we need to do is get more collaboration between the groups. Well, there's another member of the autism community. How many people with autism do we have here? All right, good. Well, there's got to be more of you by the time I'm done. So we're going to take a look at autism from the inside. What is it like to be on this side of the autism spectrum? And what can we learn from within the autism spectrum, how to better educate people with autism to lead fulfilling and productive lives? So today, autism is brought to you by the Autism Bomb. And I call it a bomb because about half of the time it seems like that after 18 to 24 months of typical development, we see a loss of functional communication, meltdowns, tantrums, withdrawal from the environment, self-stimulatory activity, perhaps self-abusive behavior. And this is the bomb that struck me at 18 months, after 18 months of typical development. For other children, it seems like something happened a little bit earlier, and I know mothers who report that they just knew their child was different from before they were even born. However, there's a lot of hope. There's a lot more awareness of autism. The incidence rate of autism, which was considered to be 1 in 10,000 just a generation ago. Now we're looking at a figure of about 1%. We don't know where it comes from. We have a lot of clues. But what we do know is if the incidence rate keeps increasing the way it has been, probably within the next generation, there's going to be more of us on the spectrum than not. So we're going to take over. So with greater awareness comes research. With research comes intervention. And with intervention, I believe we can really be at a point where people with autism leading fulfilling and productive lives can become the rule rather than the exception. So maybe autism isn't a bomb as we might have thought. As we might have thought when we're first told as a parent that your child's been diagnosed with autism. As a teacher, as an educator who's first told that you now have a child with autism coming into your room, what are you going to do? So let's take a look at some ideas on how to work through and how to help people with autism lead fulfilling and productive lives. So where does autism come from? Well, before we start, it is important to remember the importance of the arts and to sing to the tune of Where Oh Where has this little dog gone. So let's go. Ready? Go. Where, oh, where did this autism come from? Oh, where can it be? More from the sopranos over here. With mysteries cut long and eye contact cut short. Tenor over here. Where, oh, where can it be from? All right, very good. Give yourselves a round of applause. And I think with a little work on intonation, breath support, and staying together, we'll be ready for the winter concert. Now what I have here is where researchers are expending most of their energies into the cause or causes of autism. There's a lot of confusion in this area. The best minds in research believe that autism starts with a genetic predisposition, which then gets triggered by something else. I think there's a lot to be said for genetics. As I work with children on the spectrum, I see characteristics in their family members. I remember the first child I worked with. When I met the dad, I said, "Hey Dad, you know, I think you're autistic." He didn't like that. Then I found out that Dad didn't eat solid foods until he was 9.5. He's got one of those spooky skills that allow him to know what time it is without wearing a watch. He's accurate down to the minute. He has what I call a negative autism diagnosis from Children's Hospital in Boston. He's at 4 years of age. He spent 6 months outpatient, doctors trying to figure out what's going on, and finally the result was a letter, "Dear Mom and Dad, your child cannot be autistic because he's talking." Well, now we know what that's called. It's called Asperger's syndrome. And now Dad realizes that if he's not on the autism spectrum, well, he's pretty close. And that helps him understand his son, who's much more significantly affected. Now in his teenage years, still remains pretty much nonverbal. Dad is what my friend Jerry Newport would refer to as a recovered aphid. Aphid standing for autistic parent heavily in denial. Maybe you know some. So it's this genetic predisposition which then gets triggered by something else. And some of those something else's have to do with the research into vaccines, the role of vaccines into the triggering autism. And again, there's a lot of confusion and research pointing into both directions. However, what I believe is that there's an awful lot of foolishness around vaccines. And the foolishness is, if you take a look at what the people researching in this area, including Andy Wakefield, is saying, there's 3 major concerns. One is thimerosal, which is a mercury preservative. Mercury is the second most potent neurotoxin known to man. So that alone, should we be injecting mercury into anybody? Or could we use thimerosal-free vaccines? Second area, worries about multivalent vaccines, multi-dose vaccines. So if you're worried about the M, and the R being given together or things like that, why not break them apart? That's what Andy Wakefield said. He never said to stop vaccinating children, but let's just break them apart until we figure it out. And then finally, there's many more vaccines being given these days. Maybe they need to be spread apart. And these seem like pretty simple ways of addressing the issues, because what is happening is that people are afraid of vaccines. Vaccination rates are going down, diseases that we thought we had eradicated are going up. And I think if we focus research on identifying those cohort of people who may have a bad immune system reaction to a vaccine, and then figure out what to do with this group, we'll be much better off. So it seems to be a bunch of foolishness, and we need to get to work on that. What about diet? Many people with autism need to be on a special diet. Bodies don't properly digest foods containing gluten or casein, wheat or dairy products. And I know some people who, if they go off their diet, it's just a total disaster. And then there are others of us on the spectrum who are on what I call the seafood diet. That's right, we see food and we eat it.